Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herbalist Podcast. I am back again with Rob and a not mic'd up Dean. We have a ghost in the machine. It's a. I can kind of hear that, but not really. That's acoustic right there.
Technically acoustic electric.
Acoustic electric.
I bet you it'll pop out more in post. I'm multitasking. Doing some warm-ups while we're doing this.
Yeah, I kind of got here late. We got a late start today. That is my bad. I'm going to get to work late today, too, so, I guess everybody can fuck off. But, yeah, so we are back again. We have a very unorganized show to do this
like
morning.
every other one we have.
Yeah, that's not entirely true. We've had a couple of organized ones.
Yeah, we did. I forgot
we
that,
named an
about that
episode.
one.
Frank wrote it down. Yeah, so we
Forgot
had
about that one.
we had a couple of organized ones. I did want to bring up something. I was trying to find the article on it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I had this shit. No, I can't find it. But so I wanted to talk about in the Midwest. I cannot remember what state it is. I want to say it was Nebraska. I could be wrong. But there was a state that in 2022 during the governor's election and the general election for like their governor and their legislators and whatnot, they put a ballot measure on their ballots, their voting, and it was about marijuana. There was two questions. One, they wanted to know if medical marijuana should be legalized in their state. They had a yes or no vote. And then they wanted to know if marijuana should be regulated for adults over 21. And yes or no. And 71% of the people in the state voted yes to medical marijuana, and 67% voted yes to regulated marijuana. And their governor has actually come on TV and like press conferences and everything else since the vote, since 2022. They still don't have any medical marijuana program. They're still not trying to legalize it or anything. The governor has come out and said that he will eventually make medical marijuana available, but he's going to make it as hard as possible, and he will never sign a recreational marijuana bill. Now, obviously, I have a problem with that because of the weed and whatnot, and I believe that we should have access to weed. But I have a larger problem with the fact that 71% of the populace that voted in that state said that they should have that, and their ruling party told them no. There is a big problem with that, in my opinion. Why in a so-called democracy do we not listen to the people? This is starting to sound more like socialism or dictatorship. The people all say, we want this, and the government says, no, you're not smart enough, we'll make your decisions for you. That is literally what is happening? Most of the people said, we want this. The government said, no. You're obviously not smart enough to understand the implications of that, so we're not going to give it to you, even though most of you said that that would be legal and you want it to be legal and everything else for all the benefits and everything, and you would like the illicit market to stop affecting your communities, and that's why you want it regulated and whatnot. But no, you guys don't understand what's going on. So us few at the top, we're going to make your decisions for you. Don't worry about it. That's kind of what's happening. You know what I'm saying? When you put out a vote, like say we're in school, you know what I'm saying? And they said, all right, we got two options for recess. We can go to the playground or go to the gym. And 2/3 of you voted to go to the playground, and they took you to the gym anyway. Would that be right? I don't think that's right. I'm just saying. We live in a place where majority rules. That's kind of our basis of our government. But I don't know. If they can do that, yeah. Well, again, I don't care where it's located.
No, that's actually a big part of it.
But again, I
I
do
know
not care.
it's a government thing, but it doesn't matter if you care or not. That is a big part of the reason why that mentality's there.
Yep. But again, democracy.
It still doesn't matter. That plays into a big factor in people's decision making.
Huh? Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
they had voted for that.
yeah. Still, that's the kind of mentality of the people around there.
Right, but it's only 29% of the people. 71% of the people want it to be legal.
But the person in power is abusing his power because he has that mentality.
Exactly.
It's the concept of free will. There isn't much of a concept of free will.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like it's wrong. Just because of where you're from, how you were raised, you were a quote unquote servant of the people, quote unquote. That is what your job is supposed to be. You were a servant of the people. The people told you what they want, and you told them no. It's wrong. Okay? I don't care if it's a bill that we had legal weed, and a lot of people, 71%, said that it needs to be illegal, and you say, no, we're keeping it legal. I would not agree with that, because 71% of people said that it needed to be illegal. That's kind of where I'm coming from. We live in a place where majority rules.
Comes down to this. Who gonna stop him?
Basically, yeah. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's just wrong. You know, if they pass laws that go against what I do, as long as it was a majority rule, I may not follow the law, but I'll respect the fact that at least the majority told me that I'm not allowed to do this. So now I got to go do it behind their back. But when the minority tells you that you're not allowed to do it and you have the majority telling you that you are, what are you supposed to do with that? You know, because now it's morally wrong for you to follow those laws. It's just...
Look at the culture we live in now.
I
It
know.
is no longer the needs of the many outweigh the few.
But that's kind of what I'm getting at. This culture, everything, eventually something's got to give. Eventually. Like, there are very few places on this planet where the leaders actually listen to their people. Typically, those places are a lot better than a lot of other places, we'll just say. But yeah, I don't know. I recommend writing in your local legislator all the time. Let your opinions be heard. Let your legislator know that if they don't vote the way you want them to, you will vote for somebody else. Because that's your job as an American citizen. No. I don't think, in a lot of the holdout states, I don't think it's a revenue thing that they're really worried about. Because if they were worried about a revenue stream, they would have already legalized it. Especially seeing especially with the Michigan, Colorado, and California economies right after legalization. I don't know. I know there's a bunch. I know there's a couple Commonwealth states, but the whole revenue thing, if they were not legalizing it because of revenue, then our leaders are incredibly misinformed. The amount of money that the government makes off of legalization far outweighs the amount of money that they make off criminalization. Like, so off of criminalization, they pay for the criminalization off of our regular taxes, off of our income tax, off of our sales tax, off of our property tax. They pay for criminalization through that. For legalization, they pay for legalization for all of these programs to create hundreds, if not thousands of jobs at a government level. Not talking about the private sector jobs, but the regulators, the testers, and whatnot. Yes, all those government jobs, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of government jobs in every state that are paid for through the revenue of taxing the legal weed. And I'm sorry, but the revenue that they earn from taxing the legal weed, the legal taxed revenue from the weed, not that comes out of your pay, but that comes out of the farmers' money. You know what I'm saying? The taxes that they pay, the taxes that the dispensary pays, the taxes that the distributor pays, all those taxes, they make more money off those taxes than they allocated to the entire fight against weed. If you add up the taxes to all legal states and whatnot, they make more money than was allocated from our taxes to the DOJ to fight against weed. And it's proven. You know what I'm saying? So not only do they not spend that money to fight against weed anymore, but they actually make that exact same amount of money through a different revenue stream that we no longer have to pay for.
So the question is, what's it at a local level then?
At a local
Because
level,
rightly, it's all about local discretion.
that is a fear, but that fear has been mostly
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really see that happening when your average farmer's already struggling enough to do what they're normally doing. They're not going to invest the hundreds of thousands to change out their crop.
yes and no. It's, well, I mean, yeah, it would be the
Yeah, it's a
investment to
quicker
change out their
turnaround.
crop.
Yeah, it's a quicker turnaround, but given how hit or miss that legislation is anyway, they're already having a hard time with their basic crops.
But
let alone something that's already got so much legal
But-
red tape.
hear me out on this. New York State models a lot of other states, right? I don't know what it is in other states, but like they're not afraid of people stopping growing corn and growing weed like for a cash crop, because in legalized states, as in New York, I know for sure, but in most legalized states, even if you grow your weed outside, you're only allowed to grow 1 acre.
I'm talking about the farmers, not the fucking government.
No, that's what I mean.
Most farmers in this area aren't going to switch out their crops because they're already having enough time with stuff that
Right,
isn't held up in legal red tape.
right. But what I'm saying is, if they decided to change, if they decided that I'm going to put a portion of my land aside to grow weed, and they get a license and they do all that, they're still only allowed 1 acre. These farmers have hundreds of acres that they grow corn and green beans and spinach and everything else on. So they would literally be only allowed 1 acre of weed. And that's why the government's not really worried about them stopping growing food and starting growing weed, because if they grow too much, then they're going to step in and stop them anyway. They're not allowed to grow 100 acres of marijuana at a fucking time. I mean, that would just be ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? You've got 100 acres of pot plants. That's like ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck needs 100 acres of pot? I'm just saying. Right, but like I said, a lot of states, like pretty much every state, has a cap on how much you can grow. Like I was telling Rob, so say you got a 100-acre farm. Typically, they're only going to let you
If
grow.
you're going to
an
talk
acre.
on this, bud, I'm going to have to stop it and mic you up.
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, so it's not really the food thing that they're worried about. A lot of places I feel like they don't know how to properly tax it, so they don't legalize it because they're worried about their revenue stream. And that's a very good argument, because you know, with like with everything else that's, you know, a plant, it's grown from the earth. It is a variable. You know what I'm saying? I could plant a marijuana plant and I could grow that shit 5 feet tall, and that shit might only get me an ounce of weed if I don't do it right. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, they're expecting, you know, 5 foot tall plants to produce a pound of fucking weed, and they're expecting their revenue stream off that pound, and then you only grow an ounce, and they're like, well, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So the taxing of it, I could understand if that's the red tape holding up states from actually implementing legalizations. I could understand that. But a lot of it's not the taxation. A lot of it is these older people that still have the Reefer Madness fucking video in their head, thinking that marijuana makes
No, because how hard is
People-
it to get a license to do that to begin with?
all very hard.
Exactly. It's all red tape.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm talking about the kind of red tape that it is. If it was... Yeah. But, the red tape... If it's held up by the taxation thing, I would kind of understand that. Because taxing this product is not the easiest thing to do. I will admit that. There are a hell of a lot of variables. There are a lot of things that could change. You know, I could have a crop that is growing great, and the last 2 weeks I get aspergillus blown in from outside, and fucking the entire crop molds, and I can't sell a fucking piece of it. That happens. That's it's a risk you take. It's a risk that any farmer takes. Yes, blight is a big part of a lot of things, especially when you're farming. But I mean, again, Rob, when it comes down to the revenue stream, I understand the taxation and I understand that part and whatnot, because if you really think about it, there is no fucking plant that's legal and regulated in the United States that is nearly as valuable as fucking weed. Except for maybe ginseng, but it has to be wild grown ginseng. You can get about $800 a pound for wild grown ginseng. I didn't know if you knew that.
I think you mentioned that once. That's absolutely fucking nuts.
Yeah, wild grown ginseng, you can get $800 a pound. Maybe more. $800 a pound was what it was worth about 15 years ago. But farmed ginseng that you get off a farm, typically only sells for about $50 a pound. Everybody wants that wild shit. For some reason, it grows better. It is better. It's got more shit in it. And it's probably because nature knows best. You know what I'm saying? Shaggy Hillside. So, side question.
It's either that or the farmers just overcomplicate it. Because think of how many things that, like, even in your life, that after you've done it, realize how stupid simple it was, but you put too many steps in there, just not even realizing it.
Yeah.
It could be the same thing. Maybe ginseng's one of those things you can just throw there, fucking leave it, forget about it, then come back to it, and it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the thing between farmed ginseng and wild ginseng is wild ginseng takes a lot longer to grow. So to get a decent ginseng bulb, yeah,
that's what it boils down to.
To get a decent sized ginseng bulb, like I'm talking like a couple of ounces on the ginseng bulb, like 2-3 ounces, it takes that plant about 5 years to grow. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's $800 a pound. So like 2-3 ounces, that's like $75. And that plant just grew for 5 fucking years. You know what I'm saying?
People are impatient.
Yeah. So farm ginseng doesn't ever get that long to grow. Like they don't do that at all. And the thing about farmed ginseng is a lot of the places that they farm ginseng at, it's completely unnatural. So ginseng grows in indirect sunlight. It will not grow in direct sunlight, and it grows on hillsides in very wet environments. So when you farm ginseng, a lot of times people will build dunes and put shade along the top of them, and then fucking plant the ginseng along the dunes and whatnot, and it'll grow like that. But natural ginseng, yes, loves to grow near creek beds. And also, these hills around here, if you find ginseng at the bottom of the hill, typically if you walk straight up that fucking hill, you will find ginseng all the way up that hill. Because what happened is, one little plant started at the top, and then it just kept falling down and falling down and falling down and falling down. You know what I'm saying? And that is how ginseng naturally grows. And when it grows like that, typically it has better nutrients. You know what I'm saying? Typically, the wild harvested ginseng, it has a different nutritional value, and it almost tastes different, which is why it costs more. And has better health benefits, too. Not entirely sure why. And I honestly have a theory that it's something to do with fertilizers versus natural nutrients. You know what I'm saying? Fertilizers grow plants kind of well, but that's not natural. And like you're forcing things into the plant and you're not giving it other things, Kind of like weed. Because, there's that whole big old argument. You've got organic, natural weed versus just your regular commercial, nutrient-fed weed. And everybody says, oh, the natural stuff's way better. Honestly, you have no idea. I'm just going to say it like that because natural doesn't exactly quite mean what you think it does. And I'm going to blow y'all's mind real quick. I'm sure Rob and Dean probably know this, but natural and organic does not mean what you think it means. The reason being, did you know high fructose corn syrup is all natural organic? It's a corn byproduct. Yes, it is an all natural organic product. High fructose corn syrup. You know that shit that we've been saying for years is absolutely terrible for you?
You mean what we call liquid sugar?
Yes. That shit is all fucking natural. Now, if they can tell me that that's all natural, could you imagine some of the other natural ingredients? I'm just saying. It's just fucking, yeah.
I mean, I kind of get it because it's like, hey, we can get this byproduct out of it, but we have to synthesize it. So it's not really naturally occurring, but it comes from it. Who's going to split hairs, really? If there's any level of synthesis, it's not all natural or organic.
Yeah. But, you know.
Especially when it's coming from a genetically modified food source as it is.
What? Corn wasn't genetically modified?
No, none of our crops have been.
No. We've never modified corn or
Because we're not
grapes.
we're not overpopulated
watermelon.
or anything.
Or bananas.
Yeah.
Or Brussels sprouts.
Most people don't realize that the watermelons just used to be the size of berries.
Yeah, they used to be like grapes.
1600s.
Have you ever seen?
Early Rome and whatnot. Yeah, it was a delicacy that they'd get, and I shit you not, they were the size of fucking grapes.
They were for nobles.
Yep.
And they still
Over
had
the
the
years.
rind on them. They were the size of grapes, and they still had the rind. You had to peel that fucking rind, so they were even smaller.
They were kind of like a mini orange, but with a different filling if you want. Or a better kiwi would be a better comparison, I guess.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the watermelons?
But we grew them and found a way to grow them over time before big science, I guess you want to put it that way, to make them bigger. We genetically modified them over time.
I mean, I agree, but I got to go back. You said before big science.
Before it was like you had laboratories dedicated to stuff like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't mean like it, because I do stand on Hubert Farnsworth's quote: "Science isn't intrinsically good or evil; it's how it's used."
Yeah.
So really, science is what it is. It's just at that given time, our understanding of it was so minute, and we didn't have labs dedicated to figuring out how to grow food better.
My bad. But so I gotta say it like this. You said before big science, but it kind of was, but it kind of wasn't, because you know what is science in a nutshell? Science is basically
understanding and interpreting the natural world around us.
Well, I mean science as in the scientific method. You know what I'm saying? Like to perform science. What is it?
Hypothesis and theory.
Well,
I use the same thing in my craft.
It's observation, study, and then test. And then results. Observation, study, test, results, repeat. You know what I'm saying? To see if you get the same results. So you make an observation and you say, wow, I wonder why it does that. And then you study it.
Wait, or did he pass it to you?
I gave it to him because I fucking skipped him. But
Oh, I see. We fucked up rotation.
yeah. But then
Hey, Cherokee.
so you see something and you're like, why does it do that? And then you study it and you're like, I think I know why it does that. And then you test it and you're like, I can make this happen or I can make something else happen. And then you observe the results and then you perform the test again and
Yep.
see if you get the same results. And that's basically what they did with the watermelons. So they were growing watermelons and then one day,
Most people know it as trial and error method.
yes, and that's science.
That's it. It
That-
really
that's science,
is.
people. You're a fucking scientist.
I fucking love how simple it is. It's like everyone does science and they don't realize they do science.
Right.
That's why I like referring to what I do as science, because I see a lot of the correlations between the two.
Yeah. But so with the watermelons, so they started out as grapes, and about 3,500 years ago is when we started changing them. We I believe there's records from like 7,000 years ago, you know, like 3,500 BC. I'm not entirely sure, but I think there's hieroglyphs of like pharaohs and whatnot eating watermelons and whatnot. About 3,500 years ago is, if I'm correct, which I'm probably not, but I'm gonna say it anyway. But about 3,500 years ago is the first recorded instance, I believe, we have of somebody trying to alter the watermelon. It was a royal farmer because, again, watermelons were a delicacy reserved for nobles and pharaohs. You know what I'm saying? They were extremely hard to come by back then. A royal farmer grew some watermelons, and one particular watermelon plant was larger, about double the size as the rest of them. So he harvested that plant, planted just that the next year, and all of those plants were about the same size as what he grew before. So then the following year, the same royal farmer grew those larger watermelons again, but he crossbred them with the regular watermelons. And the regular watermelons came out larger, just like the ones he had just grown. And from there, basically every farmer that was growing watermelons from then out was looking for the biggest one, and they would take those seeds and cross them with smaller ones.
And bear in mind, they're
And they would
taking
get bigger
notes
and
on
bigger.
this as they go along.
Yeah. On papyrus scrolls and shit back in the day before they even had fucking paper.
Even worse, those are all mental notes then. Farmers can't afford that shit.
No, they could, because it was papyrus. So you figure farmers back then would clear fields of papyrus so that they could fucking grow crops. So they had an abundance of it. You know what I mean? Like, farmers were the ones that had the access to the papyrus. You just had to form it into a paper after that. You know?
Millet, or whatever the fuck you call it.
Honestly, huh? Oh my God. Dean just said being dyslexic in the age of chisel.
I'm sure there was that one. There's gotta be.
God. Yo, could you imagine if some of the hieroglyphs that we're reading and whatnot were
Yeah,
like,
we're written by dyslexics.
yeah, and they're just backwards, and that's why we can't figure them the fuck out?
Why doesn't this make sense?
It kind of looks like this other symbol, but
Then
it's
you hit-
completely backwards. What the
then-
fuck?
Then you hit rewind, and it's like, oh, Cletus is at it again. He's trying, poor bastard. And his are the ones that survive out of everyone's.
That's why nothing makes any sense,
The
and they're just looking at it like, what the fuck?
He's the dyslexic bastard who can't spell in the tribe, but yet, some cosmic joke, his tablets are the ones that survived.
What
That
the
took
fuck?
a turn.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Just think about this for a second. Let me put a little a ninja star in your brain. Could you imagine if some of the greatest, best minds that we look to throughout history, like Plato, Socrates, all those people, could you imagine if they were actually fucking the dumb ones of their society?
And again, I'm going back to Futurama, like the Da Vinci episode, where come to find out Da Vinci's actually an alien. They go back to his home planet, and he's the dumbest one out of all of them, but he's a genius here.
Yeah, kind of like that, except it would go like Socrates, Plato, and everybody. They were absolutely retarded, and everybody back then was way smarter than them and had a way better understanding of the world. And because they were all so retarded, they just kind of let them do them, and their fucking works were the ones that survived to this day. So now we take them as like gospel.
It's
You know
a
what I'm
what
saying?
if scenario.
Yeah, imagine if they were just like, there was a one-eyed man swinging a club, and we're gonna call him a Cyclops. He was a god, and everybody else back then is like, Jesus Christ, what are you fucking retarded? Yeah, somebody just write the story for him so fucking Plato can fucking go back to bed, okay?
It's funny because even that comes just from like the misinterpretation of fossils.
Right, but could you imagine if they knew back then? They were like, oh, this fossil came from an ancient animal that no longer exists. And then, like, you know, like Socrates comes in and was like, there must have been a giant. Sorry, didn't mean to yell. There was a giant. He was 12 feet tall. He swung a club. And everybody was like, yo, write this shit down. This is hilarious. You know what I'm saying? Could you imagine?
I mean, there is a possibility.
Yo, it would have been so oh my God.
You know, and all the conspiracy theories and shit that I've seen, I've never once heard of this kind of idea popping up, though.
Dude,
what if it's all just a fluke?
It would be hilarious.
So, I mean, really, if you think about it, it really kind of is a fluke. Because there's a lot of times in human history where chunks of information are just lost.
300 years.
Burning of Alexandria, that whole library that went up, the Dark Ages.
300 years of time that we cannot find
We theorize
for like the entire world.
We theorize that the dynastic Egyptians found their structures. They didn't build the pyramids, this, that, or the other thing. They believe they found them. The same theory goes with like the Aztecs and the Mayans. So there's like good whole chunks of human history that are just lost all at once.
Pyramids exist all over the world. Did you know that?
Yep.
Like,
there's some in China. I believe they found one in Alaska.
And they all have the basic design. And honestly,
yeah, actually,
no, there's been 5 extinction events on the planet. There's been 5 extinction level events on the entire planet where 99.9% of all life died. Humans? Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't think there was one that was that drastic, but I don't think there was one that drastic since.
Not for humanity. I'm talking about
I'm talking about in terms of relative population. There was only one that was ever recorded that bad.
You sure?
Yep. Great oxidation. When Earth finally gained oxygen, 99.8% of all life, this is bacterial life, died. The Great Dying. Or the oxidation. It's one of the two. But everything else is not too nearly as...
I was right. Earth has had 5 major mass extinction events.
What ones does it list?
So, it was not the Great Oxygenation that did that. So the first one was the Great Oxygenation event. 60 to 70% of all life died. The second one was
That all depends on how they scope it too, because most life was bacterial.
right. They're
was-
actually talking about bacterial life.
Yeah.
60 to 70% of all life died. The second one was when the oxygen levels dropped. Do you remember after the Great Oxygenation Event, the oxygen levels suddenly dropped? 75% of all life died then, including bacteria and sea life. And then the third one was in the Permian period. We all think of the asteroid impact 66 million years ago as
Isn't this one the Great Dying?
the Permian extinction is the worst extinction ever experienced on the fucking planet. So it was a time marked by intense asteroid impacts and intense volcanic activity, which was probably caused by all the intense asteroid impacts. 95% of all life on the planet died 252 million years ago.
Wasn't that the Great Dying?
I don't know. They just call it the Permian extinction here.
I think that is the one.
But
'Cause I do know one of
No.
those is referred to as the Great Dying.
no other extinction level event has been quite so drastic.
And that's what you call a filter event.
Yep. The fourth. You want to know what's hilarious? So something happened in Earth's geologic history around 200 to 300 million years ago. Like Earth was not trying to host life 200 to 300 million years ago. So the first one happened 455 million years ago. It was about 70%. Second one happened about 375 million years ago. It was 75%. The third one happened 250 million years ago, and it was 95% of all life. The fourth one happened 200 million years ago, and it was 80% of all life. Like between 2 to 300 million years ago, Earth did not want anything on it. It was like, get the fuck off of me. And then the next extinction level event where 75% of the life died wasn't until 66 million years ago. So that's 144 million years later. Literally in 52 million years, you had two of the worst extinction level events that we have ever had on our planet. And then there wasn't one before that for over 100 million years, and there wasn't one after that for over 140 million years. So, like, something was going on right there. Earth was taking antibiotics or something. It was trying to get the fucking...
It's a bit temperamental.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
It's like, I don't want anyone touching me right now. Get off.
Oh, but there is a sixth.
That's what it sounds like. It's
I
like,
know.
Don't touch me. Get off.
So there's a sixth mass extinction that they don't have a year for yet. No, because it's currently happening, and it's called Homo sapiens for the reason. So every one of these lists a reason, right? Reason number 6 is Homo sapiens, and it says ongoing. So since we've taken basic control of our planet, we've eradicated, I think, over 50% of the animals that were on this planet, like as we were alive. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Well, I know it's funny. I am trying my best to remember it, but I believe it was a whole album, if not a song. But Cattle Decapitation talked about this. I just can't remember what the fucking name of it is. Go ahead and keep talking. I'm going to try and find it because I need to know now.
Yeah, it's called the Holocene extinction. It is
That's
literally...
what it is.
Oh, is that the name of the song?
Hang on.
It's the 6th mass extinction, and it has been caused by us, by human activity. Loss of environment,
Not sure
destruction
if
of
it's a song or if
environment,
it's the name
changing
of
of
the album.
environment. Fucking... and like I was saying, some of those animals were lost to just natural causes, but then we sped up a lot of things. Like the woolly mammoth and the saber-toothed tiger, they went extinct because the ice age ended and they were no longer needed.
Anthropocene extinction. That's what they consider it, the Anthropocene era, which is us.
Whoa.
It's what Cattle Decap did with it. But it's basically the whole same concept.
Yeah, but, you know, we kill a lot of shit indirectly.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of who we are. We dominated the world and have killed everything off that could possibly
Now
be
I
a
got the
threat to
song
us.
Bring Back the Plague stuck in my head.
But anyway,
I love that song.
now that we went off a really, really, really large tangent here.
This has been an interesting episode.
It started as watermelons. You
Yes,
didn't know
it
that,
did.
right?
What the fuck?
It started as watermelons. It for real did. We got there from watermelons. We went from talking about melons to talking about balls disappearing.
Extinction.
Well, I mean that
What
would
the
be
fuck?
that would be our extinction. Our balls disappearing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, how did we get... where did we go wrong? Where did the turn happen?
I don't know. I'm going to look something up real quick, and then I'm going to share something with you guys.
Oh, boy. That was definitely a weird subtangent.
Yeah, I've seen that. Um, I'm trying to figure this out. So, I've read a study that we're losing our Y chromosome, and so we're
I
losing
remember
the
you telling me
male.
about this.
We're losing the male chromosome, and I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out at what rate we're losing it. Yeah, so the Y chromosome has been experiencing gene loss and whatnot for a very, very, very long time. But, huh. It looks like about 11 million years from now, the Y chromosome will not exist anymore.
That's if we'll still exist at 11 million
Right.
years from now.
But we will have completely lost the Y chromosome. So,
We will have evolved into a different species of humans.
yes. Oh, hey, Dean is correct. So earlier, Dean said, weren't we down to about 1,200 people? So there was a bottleneck for humanity about 800,000 years ago. We were a critically endangered species. We only had about, 1,280 breeding individuals available on the planet at all. And our population didn't really go up or down. We were kind of just one centralized community where the humans lived, and we didn't grow in population. Our population didn't really decrease. I mean, a little bit here and there, but it lasted for like 117,000 years. Yeah, that's a long time. 117,000 years. We almost went extinct for 117,000 years. Could you imagine that? Like, that's just ridiculous.
Squishy humans.
Yeah. We are not as indestructible as you
Crab,
might think.
Core. Crab. Core.
But
Crab. Core.
yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that's about all I got to say about that. You know, we went from almost being extinct to causing everything else to go extinct. Maybe it's
Including ourselves.
well, not yet. We'll starve, or we might blow
Well,
up.
we haven't been as effective on ourselves as we have been everything else, but I
Big
mean,
old bananas.
at the end of it, it's all mad. Mutually assured destruction.
Yo, fucking. So, if aliens, like, if we die right now, if every single person on this planet dies right fucking now, and
I bet
aliens,
you there's an alien watching and be like, "Hat, called it."
but if aliens discover our civilization hundreds of years from now, and every last one of us is dead, they're gonna think we're a bunch of sex crazed perverts. Because fucking like 20% of our
Whoa,
medication is
I mean-
about increasing the size of your erection. The fuck? Yeah. There's probably going to be a lot of. So, hear me out. Hear me out. If every single person dropped dead right now, and then somebody found us all in like 1,000 years, 3,000 years, found our skeletons and whatnot, how many skeletons do you think are going to have a dildo in their ass when they're found?
I like how the widdly widdly.
That number is not zero, but I bet you it is surprisingly larger than we'd like to think.
The number's definitely not zero.
No, not at all. That number's definitely not zero.
How
It's
many-
probably far larger than we'd comfortably like to think.
Yeah. How many brothels and like dominatrix places are going to be mistaken for torture dungeons?
Fine line.
So
Am I
that begs
wrong?
the question. How many torture places that we have found from the ancient world were actually
That's a
sex
thought.
dungeons?
That kind of almost reframes the whole Spanish Inquisition. Makes you question what was going on down
I'm
there.
just saying. How many?
In the name of the Father and the Holy Ghost, I punish thee. This is
you
why I
wondering
don't
where the
talk
butt plug
much.
came from?
The ball gag.
The ball gag, yeah.
Just tie me up and stretch me, Pablo. Okay,
Yeah, that hurts
this is
so
why
good.
I don't say much.
Anyway, now that we've got that out of our systems,
Oh, I'm just getting started.
I think that's going to do it for the day. I'm just saying. I started this podcast with an important topic, and that topic is to pay attention to what your government officials are doing. And I ended this podcast with an absolutely terrible topic because I just got
This
derailed.
whole episode went off the rails.
You know what I'm saying? But y'all take it or leave it. You know?
Take it at face value.
Yeah. There is nothing more
I
to
think
what
that's
I was
what we'll
saying.
call this episode. Face value. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
There's nothing more to what I was saying than just fuck it. That's
All
what I was
irrelevant
saying.
at the end of the day.
If you're out there trying to read between the lines,
Good luck. I don't use the lines.
there ain't lines to read between. Watermelons and creation.
Look, I can't stand the lines in a coloring book. Yeah,
Alrighty then. I think that's where we're gonna leave it for today.
right there on the floor, right next to my coloring book.
That smells.
No.
Have a good day, y'all.